The rain started without warning. Kai stood at the school entrance, staring at the gray curtain of water pouring from the sky, his bag clutched to his chest. Around him, students pulled out umbrellas, tugged on hoods, called for rides. Everyone had a plan. Kai had nothing. He pressed his lips together and did the mental math. If he ran, he'd be soaked in 30 seconds. If he waited, he'd miss dinner. If he called his older sister, she'd laugh at him for the rest of the month. None of those options were good. None of those options were good. You look like you're calculating the exact probability of your own suffering. Kai turned. Leaning against the wall beside him was a boy he vaguely recognized. From Class 2B, one row ahead during the school assembly. Quiet type. The kind who always had a book and never seemed to need anything from anyone. He had dark, slightly overgrown hair that curled just a little at the ends, and he was holding a navy blue umbrella, spinning it between his fingers like he had all the time in the world. "I'm Ren," the boy said, as if Kai had asked. "Kai," Kai replied automatically. Ren looked at the rain, then at Kai, then at the umbrella in his hand. Then, without a single word of deliberation, he opened it and tilted it toward the entrance. "I only live 10 minutes from here," he said. "We can share, if your route is close." Kai blinked. "You don't even know where I live." "No," Ren agreed. "But you look like you're about to do something desperate, and I'd rather not watch that." Kai stared at him for a full second. Then he laughed. It came out of nowhere, genuine and bright, and Ren looked mildly startled by it, like he hadn't expected that reaction and wasn't quite sure what to do with it. "Fine," Kai said, stepping under the umbrella. "Lead the way." They walked close together out of necessity, the umbrella not quite wide enough for two people to stand apart. Close enough that their arms brushed with every other step. Close enough that Kai caught the scent of Ren's jacket, something like old paper and cedar wood and the faint sweetness of rain. It was a nice smell, Kai thought, then immediately felt strange for thinking it. "You're in my literature class," Kai said, mostly to fill the silence. "I know. You always finish the assigned reading before anyone else." "I like reading, right?" Kai glanced at him sideways. "You always look so calm during class discussions, even when sensei calls on you suddenly. You never panic." Rin considered this. "Things bother me," he said after a moment. "I just don't always know how to say them out loud." Kai didn't expect that answer. It was more honest than anything he'd anticipated from a near stranger, and it settled somewhere quietly in his chest. "That sounds lonely," he said, before he could stop himself. Rin turned to look at him, really look at him, for the first time since they'd started walking. His eyes were dark and steady, the kind that made you feel like they were reading you the way he read books, carefully without missing anything. "Sometimes," Rin said simply. The rain softened to a drizzle around them. They reached the corner where their paths split too soon. Kai stopped, bag strap in both hands, suddenly aware that he didn't want the walk to end yet. "Thanks," he said. "Seriously, you saved me." Ren folded the umbrella closed. Then, to Kai's surprise, he held it out. "Keep it," he said. Kai blinked. "What?" "No, it's yours. You forgot yours Monday, Wednesday, and today." The corner of Ren's mouth curved. Just slightly, just enough to make Kai's brain stutter. "It's a pattern. You'll need it again." "I'll return it," Kai managed. "I know." Ren's eyes held a quiet certainty. "That's why I gave it to you." He turned and walked away, hands in his pockets, unhurried, disappearing around the corner before Kai could say another word. Kai stood there in the drizzle, holding a navy blue umbrella, feeling warmth spread up the back of his neck for no reason he could explain. Chapter 2. Kai arrived at school early the next morning, which was notable because Kai was famously never early to anything. His sister had raised an eyebrow over breakfast. "You're leaving now? School doesn't start for 40 minutes. "I have things to do," Kai said very casually. "What things?" "Things." He bought a hot cocoa from the vending machine by the gym, the one everyone ignored because it came out slightly too sweet, and carried it carefully up to the second floor, down the hall, and into Class 2B. The room was almost empty at this hour. Just a few students at their desks, half asleep, earbuds in. Kai found Ren's desk by the window. He knew it was Ren's because there was a worn paperback tucked neatly in the corner and a small sticky note on the desk surface that said "Return library book, Tuesday," in tiny, precise handwriting, and set the cocoa on top. Then he went to his own classroom, sat down, and stared at his textbook for 20 minutes without reading a single word. Kai walked over before his brain could vote on it. "Hey," he said, sliding onto the other end of the bench. "Hey," Ren said. A comfortable pause. A bird somewhere overhead. The distant noise of classmates. "Did you get the cocoa?" Kai asked, even though he could see the cup in Ren's hand. "I did." Ren turned the cup slowly. "You remembered I drink this. You had it every morning this week." "It's a pattern," Kai said, echoing Ren's own words back at him with a grin. Something shifted in Ren's expression. Quiet and surprised and soft, like light changing. He looked down at the cup, and the corner of his mouth curved, and this time it was slower, warmer. A real smile, unhurried and unguarded. Kai felt his heart do something completely unreasonable. What was that, he thought. "You didn't have to," Ren said quietly. "I wanted to." Kai shrugged, aiming for casual. "You lent me your umbrella. It would be weird not to. You could have just returned the umbrella." "That's boring." Ren looked at him again with those steady, reading eyes. "You're not what I expected," he said. "What did you expect?" Ren thought about it genuinely, which Kai was starting to understand was just how he did everything, genuinely, without performance. "Someone louder," he said finally. "On the inside." Kai tilted his head. "And I'm not." "You're loud on the outside," Ren said. "But you notice quiet things, like what someone drinks for breakfast." He paused. "Those don't usually go together." Kai had no idea what to say to that. So he said nothing, and just sat there beside Ren under the oak tree while the lunch hour stretched around them like something slow and golden. It was the best lunch he'd had all semester. Chapter 3. It became a thing gradually, the way things become things without anyone deciding. Kai started spending free periods in the library. This was remarkable because Kai had previously used free periods for napping and bothering his friends. But the library, he discovered, was where Ren went. Settled into the back corner table by the window, books stacked neatly beside him, always with that same quiet focus. Kai started bringing 2 drinks from the vending machine and setting one wordlessly in front of Ren. Ren started saving the seat across from him without being asked. Neither of them commented on this arrangement. It just was. They talked about small things. Books Ren had read. A terrible movie Kai had watched over the weekend. Their literature sensei's tendency to dramatically pause in the middle of every sentence. Ren had dry, understated observations about everything that consistently made Kai laugh at unexpected moments. And sometimes they didn't talk at all. Kai would do homework. Ren would read. The afternoon light would move across the table. It was the most peaceful Kai had felt in a long time, which was strange, because he'd always thought of himself as someone who needed noise. One Thursday, about 2 weeks in, Kai looked up from his notes and found Ren watching him. Not in a weird way, just watching. The way Ren did everything quietly and without apology. "What?" Kai asked. "You're chewing your pen again," Ren said. Kai pulled the pen from his mouth. "I do that when I'm stuck." "What are you stuck on?" "This analysis question. I have to write about what the author intended with the ending, but I think the ending is terrible, so I don't know how to do it without just saying that." Ren held out his hand. Kai slid the paper over, and Ren read it for a moment, brow slightly furrowed in concentration. Then he picked up his own pen and wrote 2 lines in the margin, sliding it back. Kai read them, then read them again. "That's brilliant," he said, somewhat resentfully. "How did you do that in 30 seconds? I've read this author before. The ending is terrible," Ren agreed calmly, "but terrible in a specific, intentional way. That's what you write about." Kai stared at him. "You could have a career doing this." "I plan to," Ren said, and went back to his book. Kai looked at the 2 lines in the margin. written in Ren's small, precise handwriting, and felt that unreasonable thing happen in his chest again. He was starting to get used to it. That was probably a problem. It rained again that Friday. Kai had remembered his umbrella this time, partly out of pride, partly because his sister had taped a note to the front door that said umbrella, KAI in large letters. He was waiting for the rain to lighten when he felt someone stop beside him. He turned. Ren, of course, with his navy coat and his calm expression. "You have one today," Ren observed. "I do," Kai said, somewhat triumphantly. Ren glanced at the rain, then at Kai's umbrella, then at his own empty hands. Kai noticed then that Ren wasn't carrying one. "Where's yours?" he asked. "I forgot it," Ren said, with no trace of irony. Kai stared at him. Then he started laughing, properly laughing, head tilting back, and after a moment, Ren made a quiet sound that might have been a laugh too, or might have just been an exhale, but it softened his whole face in a way that made Kai's chest seize. "Fine," Kai said, opening his umbrella and holding it between them. "Come on." They walked the same route as before. Same closeness, same brushing arms, same smell of cedar and rain. But this time Kai was holding the umbrella, and something about that reversal felt significant in a way he couldn't name. At the corner, Ren stopped first. "Thank you," he said. "We're even now," Kai replied. Ren looked at him. That steady, reading look. "Are we keeping score?" "No," Kai said honestly. "Good," said Ren. And then, very quietly, "I don't want to be." He said good night and walked away, and Kai stood on the corner long after he was gone. Rain pattering softly on the umbrella above, trying to remember how to breathe normally. Chapter 4. Kai made the mistake of telling his best friend, Sora. He didn't mean to. It slipped out on a Monday morning in the way things slipped out around Sora, who had a talent for asking the exact right question at the exact right time. "You've been weird lately," Sora said, unwrapping his bread at the classroom desk. "Good weird, but weird." "I'm not weird. You've been going to the library, Kai." Silence. "I like the library now," Kai said. "You called the library the room where fun goes to die in April." Silence. Sora squinted at him. "Is there someone in the library?" "There are many people in the library. It's a library." "Kai." Kai put his face in his hands. "His name is Ren," he said, muffled. "He's in 2B. He reads a lot and he doesn't talk very much and he has this way of looking at you like he's reading you and it's—" He stopped. "It's what?" Sora asked very gently. "A lot," Kai finished helplessly. Sora was quiet for a moment. Then he put his bread down with the gravity of someone receiving important news. "How long?" he asked. "I don't know. 3 weeks. And you haven't said anything?" "Said what? I don't even know what this is." Sora looked at him with the patient expression of someone watching a friend be very, very oblivious. "Kai," he said, "you go to a place you hate every day just to sit near him. You buy him breakfast. You share umbrellas in the rain." He paused. "Do you want me to draw you a diagram?" Kai opened his mouth, closed it. "I don't know how he feels," he said finally. He's Ren. He's hard to read. Even when he looks at me, I can't tell if it's just how he looks at everyone or if it's different," Sora said. "Yeah." Sora picked his bread back up. "Then find out," he said simply. "You'll drive yourself insane otherwise." Kai thought about steady dark eyes and small warm smiles and "I don't want to keep score" and felt the thing in his chest pull tight. "I know," he said quietly. "I know." But knowing and doing were different things, and the days kept passing in the way they do when you're both terrified and happy, full of small moments that felt enormous without warning. Like the day Ren showed up at Kai's classroom door during lunch, which he had never done before. He held out a book without preamble. "You said last week you couldn't get into reading," Ren said. "Try this one." Kai took it. It was a slim novel, the cover worn from being read many times. "Did you pick this specifically for me?" "Yes," Ren said, like it was obvious. Kai looked down at the book, then back up at Ren standing in the doorway of a classroom he had no reason to be in, holding out something he'd clearly thought carefully about. "Thank you," Kai said softly. Ren nodded once and left. Kai sat down and didn't move for a full minute. Then he opened the book. On the inside front cover, in that small precise handwriting, Ren had written, "Page 47. I think you'll like this part especially." Kai turned to page 47. It was a passage about two people who kept finding each other by accident, in rain and in libraries and in the in-between spaces of ordinary days, until they realized that maybe the accidents weren't accidents at all. Kai read it 3 times. Then he held the book to his chest and stared at the ceiling, heart hammering, thinking, oh no, I really like him. Chapter 5. The cultural festival came at the end of October. The school transformed. Classrooms into haunted houses and cafes and stages, hallways strung with lights, music drifting through from somewhere. Kai's class ran a food stall, which meant he spent the morning frying things and handing them to strangers. He spotted Ren once, moving through the crowd alone with his quiet composure. Pausing at a display here, examining something there. Kai waved. Ren saw him, and across the noise and the crowd and the mess, something in his face went soft. He lifted a hand in return. It was a small thing. 3 seconds. Kai burned his hand on the fryer shortly after because he forgot to pay attention. Entirely worth it. At 4 in the afternoon, the stall closed and Kai was finally free. He found Ren in their usual spot in the courtyard, the bench by the oak tree, now strung with small warm lights for the festival. "You survived," Ren said as Kai dropped down beside him. "Barely. I smell like oil." Kai looked up at the lights threaded through the branches above. They turned everything soft and gold. "This is nice." "The festival?" "This." He gestured vaguely. Between them, the bench, the evening. Ren followed his gesture and was quiet for a moment. "Yes," he said simply. The courtyard was full of people, but somehow the bench felt separate from all of it, its own small world. Kai thought about what Sora had said. "You'll drive yourself insane otherwise." He thought about page 47. He thought about umbrellas in the rain, and cocoa every morning, and a book chosen specifically for him, and 2 words written in careful handwriting. Especially. 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 "Ren," he said. Can I ask you something?" Ren turned to look at him. "You always ask anyway," he said. And there was something fond in it, quiet and unhurried, the way everything with Ren was. Kai's heart was embarrassingly loud. He pressed forward before he could second-guess himself. "That book you gave me," he said. "Page 47. Ren said nothing. His expression was still, but something around his eyes changed. A subtle shift, like a held breath. "Did you mean it?" Kai asked. "As in?" He laughed a little, awkward and nervous. "Did you pick that passage on purpose?" "Because of us." The festival lights flickered softly in the breeze. Somewhere across the courtyard, someone laughed at something, and music drifted out from an open window. "Yes," Ren said, low and clear and certain. Kai stared at him. "Yeah. I'm not good at saying things out loud," Ren said, and Kai remembered. "Things bother me. I just don't always know how to say them out loud. But I thought." He paused, choosing words the way he chose everything, carefully. "I thought maybe you'd understand if I showed you instead." "I did," Kai said. "I just needed to make sure I wasn't imagining it." "You weren't imagining it." They were looking at each other now, fully and directly, without the sideways glances and careful deflections of the past weeks. Ren's eyes were warm in the festival light, and the steadiness that usually made him hard to read had shifted into something open, like a window finally unlatched. Kai felt warmth spill through his whole chest, unhurried and certain, the kind that feels like, of course, more than surprise. "I really like you," Kai said. In case the cocoa and the umbrella and showing up to the library every day wasn't clear enough. The corner of Ren's mouth moved. Then, slowly, completely, his whole face did. A real smile, wide and unhidden and bright. One Kai had never seen before. One that crinkled the corners of his eyes and erased every trace of his usual composure. It was the most beautiful thing Kai had ever seen. "It was clear," Ren said. "I was waiting for you to say it." Kai laughed, half disbelieving. "You could have said it first." "I gave you a book with a very obvious hint," Ren said with great dignity. "I was being bold." That is the most you thing I've ever heard. I know. Kai shook his head, smiling so wide his face hurt. On impulse, warm, foolish, completely genuine impulse. He reached over and took Ren's hand where it rested on the bench between them. Ren went very still. Kai felt his own pulse in his fingertips. Is this okay? He asked. Ren looked down at their hands, then back up at Kai, eyes soft and bright and full of that thing Kai had been trying to read for weeks, finally clear as the sky after rain. Yes, Ren said quietly. This is okay. He turned his hand and laced his fingers through Kai's, gentle and deliberate, like he'd thought about it. They sat like that under the lights, in the warm October evening, the festival swirling gently around them. Kai's heart was full and quiet and certain. Beside him, Run had opened his book with his free hand but wasn't reading. Just holding it, leaning the smallest amount toward Kai, like a plant leaning toward light. Ren, Kai said after a while. You're smiling at a page you're not reading. A pause. I know, Ren said. Kai squeezed his hand. Ren squeezed back. Overhead, the little lights glowed like something out of a story about two people who found each other in rain and libraries and all the small in-between spaces of ordinary days. The end and also the beginning,